Now, we do have Rick Newman here, our Politico, to join us. Briefly, Rick, your take on the talk around the wall and the potential of a second shutdown.
Sure, but has anybody seen Dan Roberts?
Oh, my
Rick.
God, Rick.
He's right here. Come on,
Are you
Rick.
the son of Dan Roberts?
All right. All right.
I don't think there's going to be a shutdown. I don't think so. Okay.
But if there is, it'll get fixed in 1 week.
Okay, so hold on. So the impasse right now is about the number of beds in immigration facilities.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what they're going to shut down the government about? No, that's not what they're not going to shut down the government out of this. So what's going to happen? Well, one thing that could be different this time is they could approve funding for all the other agencies except Homeland Security, since that's the only area of dispute is these border issues. Or they could just find a way to make the deal. I mean, just because they say, "Oh my God, the talks have broken down," does not mean the talks have broken down. That means that is what they're saying publicly to try to get leverage, and this is the usual blame game in D.C.
But when we talk about that wall, and we've mentioned how much it has evolved, and now it can be porous. Now there can be holes.
Slats.
I mean, yeah. What is the latest? And is Trump going to continue to bring that up, or is he going to try to move past that conversation if that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I think Trump opened the door, if you will, to that in his State of the Union speech last week when he sort of gave this rather expansive idea of what a wall could be, and he also said it does not need to be along the entire border. So since he said that publicly in prime time, I mean, I think that was, to me, a fairly clear indication that he will take something that he can claim is a wall, even if it's not a wall. And that is another potential way out.
Right, and all of this, of course, really is about 2020. Now, over the weekend, 2 more Democrats officially threw their hats in the ring for the party's 2020 presidential nomination. Senators Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts and Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota both declared their official candidacy. So the Democratic field now up to 7 declared candidates. Others like Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, they're still looming as potential and, I mean, likely, right, assumed entrants to the field. So the swelling field also comes again as President Trump heads to El Paso, which we were talking about earlier, for that rally, which is happening notably in Beto O'Rourke's hometown. Now, you could kind of do the Democratic strategy side of it. Should Beto have already declared, right? Should he have waited this long? He said earlier that by the end of this month, he'd have a decision. But of course, Rick, really the reminder here.
In a conversation with Oprah.
In a conversation with Oprah, which no one talks to Oprah unless they're running for president.
Absolutely.
Rick, it's a reminder that all we ever do now really is campaign for president or talk about campaigning for president. And so I guess at this stage in the proceedings, with Trump continuing to dig in on his most hardline issue, I mean, how do you see the Democratic field shaking out right now?
Well, we've only got 21 months until the next election, so these guys have
Time
to hurry.
is ticking.
They really have to hurry. I think this is actually quite interesting. I mean, of the candidates we've got so far on the Democratic side, 5 prominent women. 4 of them are senators. One is a Representative Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii. I think this is very interesting. Now, what's going to happen is, I mean, as this all gets going, a lot of these candidates are just not going to raise enough money, and they're going to basically drop out. That's what always happens. I think we'll see this happening sooner in the cycle than we have before. But generally, this is a sign of how much energy there is on the Democratic side to really get this going.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, we had pulled up that full screen, and I know, Rick, you've been going to D.C. a lot to speak with some of these candidates. I know you've spoken with John Delaney. Who else on
Eric
this list?
Swalwell also.
Eric
Right, he's not on
Swalwell.
there yet.
So, I mean, just speaking to those 2 candidates, does it seem like they have a real shot here? You know, what is the ranking when you look at the landscape?
Can I just say I had 7 in there because
there's more than
I'm sorry,
7.
I'm not counting Andrew Yang.
I know, and I've interviewed Andrew Yang.
Richard Ojeda.
Julian Castro, right there.
It's like, this is semi-serious.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone in that graphic has, I think, officially confirmed.
No, they all have
Those are the officials.
Oh, really?
But some of them are just not. I mean, let's be honest. Like Andrew Ojeda is not going, or Richard Ojeda is not going to be the next president.
Well,
so
He's not. Sorry.
Did you have the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigieg?
No, Pete Buttigieg has an exploratory committee.
Okay, so he's running.
John Delaney
Right, he's running, but he's not. Yeah.
He declared. Believe it or not,
John Delaney's declared.
He declared in 2017.
He was the first person. He was the
very first.
to ever.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
He's the proponent of universal basic income. We interviewed him on Midday before.
UBI.
Yep.
Right.
All right. Yeah, so all these, I mean, look, a lot of these candidates are not well known, and they will not become well known. I mean, that's the way it always happens. But running for president is a way to become a little bit better well known.
Yeah, sure.
And you know what happens? I mean,
to help your business, you know.
I mean, when you run for president, now some of them are going to self-fund, the wealthy ones who can afford to. But for the most part, when you run for president, it's OPM, other people's money. I mean, you're running on raised funds.
You down with OPM?
And from a purely selfish perspective, it's a pretty good way to get better well known and helps you sell books down the road. It also makes you more prominent. Maybe you will end up in a Democratic administration.
Be a thought leader, if you will.
And maybe you'll even become vice president.
You just might become the real thing.
Yeah,
one of these people is actually
you kind of
become the
started
nominee.
to sell books and help your business, and then one day you're the president.